All right, welcome back to episode 4 of the Demonic Discussions podcast. I am your co-host with the most, Cameron Pierce. And tonight I am joined by none other than the man with the plan, Jake Phillips. And I also have the Seattle wonder that is Emma Weber. And I'm making up this stuff as I go, but I don't care because it's fun anyway. So I'm actually going to go on and pass the mic on over to Emma, and she will go on and introduce our special guest for this episode.
All right, our special guest today, she and I go back to the beginning, more or less. You know her on TikTok. She has almost 105,000 followers, over 1 million likes. She's doing the thing. She's on TikTok. She works at haunted houses. You know her as Mizzy or Mad Mischief on TikTok. And this is the lovely Mizzy.
Hi. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's a treat.
Haven't done one of these in a long time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. So, tell you what, Emma, would you like me to start off with just the basic get to know you, and then I'll come over to you for questions, and then we'll go to Jake, if that's cool with you. All right. So, first question I got for you is, how many years have you been haunting? What your characters you got? Basic get to know you questions for our audience to get to know you just a little bit better.
Okay. So I've been haunting for 6, 7 years? 6. Correct. Yes. Okay. So it's all a blur, but feel like I've been doing it for as long as I can remember. But I have about 2 main characters, and I have different versions of them as well. So like I have my character Candy Floss, who is a clown, and then I have my character Mischief, who I made for TikTok but had moved over to the haunted houses, kind of for like some more diversity of and more range of what I can try and do. So yeah, I have a Christmas version of Candy Floss and Mischief now. So.
All right, very cool. So yeah, I mean, that's the first character I saw whenever I started doing my scouting on you. When Emma first told me about you, I believe it was the one that you recently did with Seattle Krampus.
Yeah, that's Mischief. She's a demon.
Okay, and I was looking at it and I was like, wow. I didn't know anything about you at the time, and Emma had pointed out to me that you're only 19.
Yeah.
And I was stunned because of how well the makeup is. And I was like, well, who did the makeup on her? And she's like, oh, well, she does that herself. And when I heard that, my jaw just dropped. And people, if y'all have never seen any of the different photos of the different makeup looks and characters that she's done, y'all definitely need to go check this out, because this is definitely something that you need to see. And that's all I can say about it, is you're just so far excelled into where
Thank you.
So much further than where you should be at that age. And it's rare to see people like that.
If you haven't noticed, I've bragged about you to the guys a little
bit. Yes, I've noticed.
just a little bit.
I actually, when I was in high school, I was really into creepypasta. We all start somewhere. And I would spend literally hours watching like Pink Stylist all the time. I absolutely love him. He taught me everything that I knew up until I joined the haunt that me and Emma share. And then I had a mentor. Yeah. We see each other. But but then I had a teacher for a while. And that kind of like threw me up in the air, and I had to figure out how to fly on my own afterwards. But it was, I think Pink Stylist really amazing. Like and you could have him as background noise. Like, it's a great place to start if you want to ever get into makeup.
Okay.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Pink Stylist has a makeup channel on YouTube, and he exclusively does horror themed makeup, just about exclusively. He's done a few drag makeups here and there as well. but what he does, he completely excels at, and I'm surprised he's not bigger.
And every single time he does a new look, he will kind of like share like link tutorials on how to do certain things. It's great. It's amazing. Full walkthrough, iconic as fuck.
And let us know in the comments if we should try to get Pink Stylist on
Oh
the
my
show.
god, I'd have a stroke. Go into cardiac arrest.
I think we need to get a bit bigger before we go and attempt to get him.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
actually, I think I have more followers than him on TikTok.
Ooh, there
So let me
is-
see. You guys can ask questions. Do your thing. I'll look.
All right. So I think the next question I got for you, and this is going to go a little bit.
I have more
Oh.
followers than him. I could mess up.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
sorry guys, continue.
We got a celebrity in the house. Ooh. So the next question I got for you, and we're gonna try to keep it around 2 to 3 questions per host whenever we go into the question segment. So the second question is going to go more deeper into character work and development of stuff. So when it comes to you actually acting, and if you don't mind me asking, what part in y'all's show do you typically act in? Are you a line actor in the show, or do you
I
bounce
am a
around?
line actor. We call it Q actor. I know it's like different everywhere, but I started off because we have an age limit. I started off in the clown scene that we have, and I was kind of like, I don't know, ahead of my skill for being like a baby. So I would kind of get like a pretty highlighted role in the clown scene. I had this cool box that I'd stand on and like improv as people walk through and everything. And then as soon as I turned 18, they're like, all right, get in there. Cause I would like try all ways of sneaking into Q so I could do some Q acting. But
Yeah, and how
yeah.
old were you when you started again?
15, 16.
15. That's what I thought, 15.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to you, as y'all say, in the queue line, and I know Jake has some experience because he's one of our amazing revelers or / seekers, whatever you want to call them, in the queue line at Netherworld Haunted House here in Atlanta. So when it comes to you actually going into every night and you see these different customers coming in every night, what is your general psychology behind every single group that you go after to scare?
So it depends on the character that I'm playing. Candy Floss, my clown, she's like a creepy yet cute clown. She wears a bunch of different colors compared to my other actor friends. And so, she's definitely a lot better with the kids and stuff. So like with kids, I don't want to scar anybody, so when they notice that I'm like kind of not really willing to go that far, I feel like I'm pretty friendly but still terrifying. I like to be bubbly and excitable, and I don't really focus like on scaring per se, but more entertaining, because I'm surrounded by all of these sliders throughout the night, to kind of like, I'm the distraction. I serve as the distraction to allow openings for sliders to pop in and scare people. But I do love to scare and like stare off into space and kind of catch people off guard. But when I fail to do that, the fun part with Candy Floss is I can just improvise and make them laugh. And if they laugh, then cool, I did my job. If not, I'll find a way to awkwardly get out of that situation and still make them laugh. So definitely more entertainer for her, but with Mischief, it changes because she's dark and gloomy, and that hair in her face, like, if you haven't seen her, she's got this signature hairstyle where it's like messy and untamed. I have these very bright contacts that always seem to catch people's eyes, so I know where they'll be looking when I approach them. And so I like to kind of get this animalistic creeper kind of side to her when I'm in the queue. I love to just catch people off guard. That's like my favorite kind of scares. But just the general, like, if someone's sitting in line and they see me, I want them to start being like, oh God, I hope she doesn't come over here. Like, it's that kind of like sending chills down your spine because you know something creepy is staring at you. That's kind of like what I like to think about when I'm prowling around. So
That sounds a lot like how Pongo looks at it whenever he brings his new signature character called Mr.
I
Nope
noticed
out.
that. Oh wait, which one was that?
Mr. Nope.
I think I know who
He
With
is
the shoulders and the smile.
Yeah.
he's been up
Yeah,
like that the
no,
whole
I
night.
noticed that. When he started pulling him out on lives, very similar.
Yeah,
Very
let me tell you this, Mr. Nope, and I'm seeing that Mischief is kind of on that same level.
Oh, look,
It
I'm
our
telling you, if you put
showrunner,
them in the same area, we're gonna have so much fun.
I want to
that
see
because
Mr.
that's
Nope and Mizzy together.
I know, me too.
yeah, because that's the thing is that one of our showrunners, Garrett Stockdahill at Netherworld, is so creeped out by Mr. Nope. And this is a guy that works at one of the top-rated haunts, not just in the state of Georgia, in the country. This thing scares the showrunners.
No, it's very similar to like the Babadook energy, you know? Like if
Oh,
you were to
okay.
turn the corner, like a dark corner, and you see that thing, you're gonna want to run. I think it has something to do, honestly, with like the subtle, like subconscious thought of if you are sitting in the dark and you start seeing faces in the darkness, like it's that kind of energy. And I feel like characters like that really unlock that kind of paranoia and that fear that like you'll get as a kid, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is that, and what you were saying about Candy Floss, and I actually have a photo of Candy Floss here. Thank you, Emma. This is gonna be a weird thing to say about Candy Floss, but she looks like a character off of Lazy Town from Hell.
That was
I
my
mean,
childhood show, so I wonder if I just like took something out of that. No, that's the best thing I've ever been told. Everyone compares her to like Harley Quinn, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, you look literally like you're off of Lazy Town from Hell, and it is beautiful.
I will take that as the
like,
most
spicy
best
meatball. Okay, let me see here. All right, so when it comes to your different characters that you have, and this is my last question, then I'm going to pass it on over to Emma. When it comes to your different characters that you have, what is the different mindsets that you use to bring these different layers and these levels to each character? Just to make them more stand out away from each other, to separate them out from each other, giving them their own headspace, if you would say.
So, I would say the biggest thing, I find the common denominator because I like to, with my characters, put a part of me in them so it's a lot easier to portray more naturally, because that will make sure and ensure that I have the best performance. Because I'm still learning, you know, I'm still trying to figure out how to completely separate myself from a character, but portray them well. So with Mischief and Candy Floss, the similar thing that they have is they're both very chaotic. They can both be playful and creepy. But with Candy Floss, it's a lot more playful. It can be lighthearted. But it's still like, there's that demonic, like morbid curiosity with her. While with Mischief, it's not as playful. Like, I want what people to think when they look at me is that I'm going to bite your hand off or something, you know? So with her, I feel like the difference is that she is definitely more morbid. She's a demon from hell. She's like the devil's daughter. So she is not as friendly. She's gonna humiliate you. She's gonna, you know, prank you. So I have to be in a kind of, I guess, more malicious mindset. I'm not sure if that's the right word for it, but I'm out for blood. You know, Mischief woke up. She chose violence. Candy Floss is like, I'm just gonna go with the flow. You know, bounce around. So I think that's. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and that's kind of how I do the multiple characters that I've made. my main character Sarge that I've portrayed for years, he is more of he's trying to figure out why he's still here, because he's a military super weapon that's gotten his own god complex, basically.
Yeah. With
So he's trying to
Mischief,
figure out what he is. Whereas the heretic, on the other hand, is just like, ooga booga, I'm about to smash your head in.
yeah.
But
With Mischief, like story-wise, she is a demon that feeds off of chaos. So literally, like any inconvenience that happens in your life causes a little bit of chaos. So she's out there trying to create it so that she can constantly be feeding. And so that's kind of the mindset that I get into with her. That's what kind of, like, if I'm like sitting there and I'm like, what would Mischief be doing right now? That's what I would turn to. But with Candy Floss, I think she's just kind of out there to live her best life, because she was human once and then she died and became this weird demonic clown. So she's just out there to have a good time.
oh yeah, we need to put that on a t-shirt. WWMD, what would Mischief do?
I could make
I was
that
about to
happen.
say,
Hey,
you
you
should add
never
that
know.
to your merch.
I should add that to my merch
I'd buy a
line.
hoodie.
Yeah.
All right, so Emma, I'm going to go on and pass the mic over to you, and the floor is yours.
Oh, yay. Okay, so my questions are more about just haunting in the industry itself, but I will start off with, what is your wildest story you have while you've been haunting?
You were there to experience this.
I was, but
I feel like you know where I'm going with this. A woman broke her bone. So, it was it was a strange night.
I knew this was gonna be the story.
Okay, sorry, I collect myself.
We're fine.
So, it was traumatizing. I will never forget it. But me and my friend, we were kind of going towards the line to like get tickets. Because sometimes we like to, give people a little taste before they come in. And so we were just kind of like standing there, and this family got so scared, they ended up knocking over their grandma, and she fell. And we immediately our brains are like, oh, we got to make sure that they're okay. Her bone popped out of her skin. And immediately
specify which bone so that way listeners don't think it was like her spine sticking
Oh
out.
no, it was like a thumb, a
Okay.
finger bone. And so she ended up having to be taken to the hospital, but we ended up, like, all the Q actors kind of lined up, and we were like, well, that was not planned at all. Shit. And I will never ever forget about that night, because I'm traumatized.
I was about to say, if it was her spine sticking out, that takes blowing her back out to a whole nother level.
Yeah, I saw the woman on the ground, but I didn't go over because
Yeah.
security was already over there. But
Yeah.
I remember you and the other person came up to me and were just like, this happened.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, guys, are you guys okay?
We ended up like making jokes just to deal with the fact that it happened. It was
Yeah, the show must
I
go
wanted
on
to
for
cry,
TV.
and then my friends kind of started like making jokes, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was definitely, I remember it was like the beginning of the night, so it was one of those show must go on moments.
Yeah.
It was rough because we all wanted to just take a second.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, what if we sent flowers or something? But no, it's
Right.
fine.
But
But yeah, I think
okay. I did talk to our security, and she was okay.
Yeah.
And she like didn't blame us, so everything was okay to everybody listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, like, there are so many injuries in the haunt when you're a haunt actor, from the actors themselves to props potentially falling, or there's just always small inconveniences that are just, they suck, but they happen all the time. So
we do.
I think that's what a lot of people don't talk about, is like the accidents you know, unless you like know a haunt actor very personally.
Which kind of leads me into my next question.
Perfect.
We all know the haunt industry has the good and the bad. What are the things that you personally love to death about this haunt industry, and what are the things that maybe could use a little bit of changing?
Oh man.
I feel like this is always a really
It's a
fun
very
question.
oh yeah. I love, honestly, just seeing all these like people coming together to put their brains together and make something truly amazing and chilling. I love meeting all these new actors and like all these like experienced actors, and just being able to learn from them. I remember in my first or second year, I think it was my first year, we had a scene where there was like a kind of a freak show, and then it led into the clown scene.
Oh, the midway.
You know, yeah, the midway. We called it the midway. And there was this actress named Andrea, and she played the bearded lady. Well, now she has to. I'm gonna hold her at gunpoint. But I would sneak out of my scene to go talk to her. Like everyone was like, never leave your scenes, and I was a child. So I was like, I'm gonna leave my scene. And so I'd sneak up, and she just talked to me, and she taught me so much. I was in drama at the time at high school. I learned more from her than I did from my drama class. I ended up leaving it.
She's taught me so much.
So I love being taught things like all the time, from makeup to costuming to acting to character development to ways that you can perform things to sliding. So that's, I think, the openness to be taught and to teach is amazing. I feel like if anyone ever wants to get into acting or costuming or anything that but anyways, so yeah, I think if anyone wants to get into any of those things, joining a haunt is like, it's life changing. And I also love the being able to just improvise and bounce off of other actors and finding out who you work with, like chemistry wise, forming friendships and bonds over scaring the shit out of people. That's the best way to form. You actually, you know what? I scratch that. They're not friendships. They're like family bonds. Like me and Emma, there we go. Go way back, and I think our bond is like
Emma, right?
unbreakable. Yeah. So, leading into the haunt industry and what could be changed, the list could go on and on. But I think the biggest problems that I've dealt with are dealing with creeps. Dealing with creeps. And honestly, there is a lot of sexism that I've noticed. Like when I go to certain things, people assume that that I don't know how to word this. Like I've noticed when I talk to certain men, like I've been haunting for like 6 years, and when I talk to certain people, like I'm working with the costume industry and everything at our haunt. When I talk to certain people, they'll talk to my boyfriend and not me. They'll do certain things that is just kind of like, we do not see you. Like, okay, don't know how to deal with that without coming across as a bitch. But and I've seen it just all over, you know. There's a lot of really misogyny and overall ignorance that I've noticed. And so it's really discouraging, but I know that, you know, when you find your home at a haunt, there will always be people to back you up. But yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty big thing to me that I've seen.
Yeah. I agree, because you and I work in the same haunt, so we've kind of dealt with the same.
Yeah, we trauma bonding. But yeah.
Go ahead and do the last question. I think we got enough time.
Okay, so if you could go back in time and have dinner with you after your first day of haunting, and you had enough time to have a dinner and stuff, so it's like hour and a half, let's say, what would you tell yourself?
Oof. Damn. Um, be careful, with who you trust and who you accept into your life. But don't be afraid of growth. Don't be afraid of, claiming what you want to do. Like, the character that you're playing is your character. And you can do whatever the hell you want with it. Because you're going to rock it either way. Never be afraid. Like, the whole reason that I ever got into haunting was because I wanted to push myself past my comfort level. And I think that I would tell myself to remember that. Remember why I'm here, what got me there, and how to kind of push forward, and to just have fun. Like, don't think of it as like a job, I guess. I do it for fun. I do it because it's what I'm passionate about. And I think somewhere along the line I did lose that a little bit. So to remind myself to like remember my core. So, yeah.
Yeah, and as cheesy as it is, like, I feel like you and I have had very similar paths. Like, when I was your age and went around when you lost yourself, I lost myself. I took like a year off.
Mm-hmm.
I just find
For
it's wild.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, hey, you're also on the similar path as me, but you're still growing, you still going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess now I'll hand the floor over to Jake.
Okay.
All right, everybody. So my question for you, Missy, is I want you to name drop some of your favorite makeup companies. What are your favorite types of makeups to use? Favorite palettes, favorite colors?
Ooh. Okay. Funny story. I don't really have any favorite makeup companies. I use Snazaroo a lot, but I know a lot of people love Mayron. But I just make do with what I can because I feel like with makeup companies, they sell a lot of really expensive stuff, and I don't have money, so I just go with what I can. But I really do like Snazaroo a lot because I feel like they're cheap and easy to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Well, no, but I mean, I think that's cool or whatever, and I understand. I don't have any money either. No money.
Always shout out those cheaper, good makeup brands for the starting out artists.
Definitely.
Yeah.
One of the best fake bloods I've ever seen was actually Superstar Stage Blood. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
If I could also shout out a makeup palette, I'm not sure their price range. My boyfriend got it for me for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of them. I haven't used them until recently, but they're called Athena. I'll show you.
I've heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
I do have one cream makeup palette that I use a lot, but
my boyfriend got me this whole palette, and as you can see,
somewhere.
it's like maybe an inch thick of makeup.
It's
and
similar.
I tested them all, and they're all really good. And he said it wasn't, because I'm nosy, and I was like, it wasn't expensive. He's like, no, it actually wasn't like super expensive. So there's a list of some affordable makeups for if there's any new makeup artists starting out who happen to be listening.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so apparently we have a new segment that was just dropped on us. Cameron.
Are y'all ready to have fun?
Oh, Jesus
Are we all playing or just our guest?
Oh, we're all playing, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Single me.
I'm going to be the host. So. All right, so as Jake just mentioned, we are starting a new segment on the show. And if anyone in the haunt community knows anything about the very popular and controversial Facebook group known as Haunt Hub, you'll know what this term is. So I decided right off the top of my head, literally just as we started recording this episode, I'm going to introduce a new segment to our show. And this is everyone's favorite Haunters game show. We call it Boo or No Boo. So, object of the game here, and I can already see Jake face palming here. So, I am your host with the most, Cameron Pierce, and who is ready to play Boo or No Boo. All right, so The way that we're going to play this, I am going to call out a certain discussion. We will go through if anyone has experienced this or has a personal experience in said booetry, or whatever you would like to call it. You get to air it out right here on our episode. So, starting off pretty simple. I'm sure we all have it. We've all had this happen at least once in our haunt careers wise, particularly if you're down in the smaller haunt level. So, starting off easy, we have someone that will always say boo. The infamous B word. So, boo or no boo?
Yeah, boo.
Boom.
All right, so Jake, would you like to go on and share your experience here?
Well, so before I ever worked for Netherworld, the first real haunt thing that I did back when I was 14 or 15, I did this thing for my school, or it was probably for my school, partly just local stuff. It was a local little haunted house. And since I was part of the drama department at my school, I got asked to be in it. And so there was this person, like I was trying to be creative with my stuff, with what I would say, because of the fact that I didn't, and there was this other person in there who just constantly shout out, boo. So what I ended up doing was every time this person would pop and go boo, I would automatically pop out on the other side of the guest and go, boo-hoo, don't cry, it's just a joke, or something like that. And just trying to make it more interesting or more funny, because them just going, no.
You can hear just the literal just disgust in his voice when he said that.
No, just
So my experience is, of course, back at my original home of Fear the Woods before I joined Netherworld Haunted House.
Fear the Woods, gang.
And this actually has to happen with Emma's brother, Cameron Weber, who, oh my, that is my absolute best friend.
Oh my god, you told me this story, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god, this is so cool.
So, the funny thing is, Cam was what I like to call the boo enforcer. Now that I know what the term boo means, he was the boo enforcer. If he heard you say boo, he would call you out immediately. He would absolutely wreck you for it. And I remember the one time, because for my first 2 years, I was an attendant for Pandemic. So I was a walk-around, guess you could say a line actor, kind of mixed with a storytelling part, trying to tell the story of Pandemic, explain the rules, so on and so forth. And the one word that I would have never thought I would hear Cameron say was boo.
Oh, I absolutely
And
drilled it into him before he even joined Fear the Woods.
And sure enough,
He was like, I want to join the hunt. I think it'd be fun. And I drilled it into him. Don't say boo. Don't say, do you want to play? All those cliche lines. Like, I drilled it into him. If you say these things, I will come to you and I will kick you in the head. So he knew the stakes if he said anything wrong.
and oh, Cameron, God rest his soul. Man, I remember we were working on a group, and sure enough, I heard him try to pop scare a girl who was staring him right in the eyes, and I heard him go, boo! And all at the same time, he is frozen. He's like, huh? And I turned my head so slow looking over at him. And keep in mind, I'm in character as Sarge. So you have this, like, military super weapon of a monster literally just frozen, and all you see is me just turn my head to the right just to look at him in just pure shock that I just heard that dreaded word come out of his mouth. So we set the group on their way. We go back to our hideout spot where we would get our water and all that and just try to relax for a second. And I remember him literally going, "Oh my God, they're going to kill me for that." He looked at me and said, "Please promise me you won't ever bring that up to anyone at Fear." And I said, "Okay, I won't bring it up to anyone at Fear, but I'm bringing it up to people at Netherworld. You never said that about the promise."
I'll bring it up to your sister because she's not up here anymore.
I feel
Oh,
like if
Jesus.
you are a haunt actor and you haven't said boo before, you're lying to yourself. And that's
Everyone has slipped and said,
like, yeah, like I've slipped. And because sometimes you're stuck in a situation where you're like, you have the chance to scare, but you didn't really think it through. So you pop out and you're like, fuck. So.
dang nabbit.
Well, I can actually say I've never done it because Emma's heard how Sarge talks.
That's true. You wouldn't say boo in Sarge's voice.
That's true.
That
There's
is-
some,
Because
you know what,
I'm
that,
talking in the more lower, gruffly voice. And typically my vocal cords are shot whenever I do this. But I already have what I'm going to say in my head, and I'm lucky enough. I've never had it happen. And if it happens in Netherworld, Jake, I'm giving you full permission to pull on as hard as you can, slap me across the face if it ever happens.
Oh, Missy,
If I-
over it, help.
If
Huh?
I hear it happen, I'm coming from my spot in the queue over to second show, and I'm gonna slap you into first show.
I'm fine. Hey, if I'm in B hallway, that means I only have to take 2 steps back. But
I feel
all right.
Our reference to that is I'll slap you from Granny's attic all the way over to... Oh my God, I'm blanking on it. What's a scene? Infernum.
Yeah.
I'll slap you from Grandma's scene to Infernum.
No, actually, even better. I'll slap you from grandma's scene all the way to the green room, fool.
Oh man.
I'll slap Cameron from where he is all the way to the gargoyles at the entrance.
All these references that only half the group will understand at a time.
All right. So, to our very honored special guest, what is your experience with the dreaded B word?
I've seen it, witnessed it plenty of times, but the most disappointing was, for the longest time, I was in the clown scene. I called Candy Floss the clown queen, because I was always the one that everyone would turn to if they needed help solving things or whatever.
Rightfully so.
I would before our night would start, I would go through the scene and have people do scares to me, because then I could give them constructive criticism. So I think that it went pretty well. But after I left for the queue, the first year I end up going through, all I hear is like, do you want to play? And just all those cheesy quotes. It broke my heart. And then I got to my scene, the box, and I walk over, and not only is the scare delayed, they come out and they're like, boo. And I'm just like, what was that? Are you kidding me? No. I wasn't actually like that, but I was pretty horrified. I was like, no, you've got to scare me. Say something creative. Let your creative juices fly. Do it again. And I backed up, and they're just like, okay. And they did it again, but it was just, I didn't want to hold up the line or anything, so I ended up leaving, but I was horrified. I was like, no. In my scene too, like there was, I was like, I'm handing this down to you, and they're just like dropping it, you know, like
Yeah.
it was so sad, but you know, hopefully the clowns will get more training next time around.
Yeah. And the thing with our hunt is we are volunteer based, and
Yeah.
we
also do put, because you know, when younger actors come in, it will be probably more beneficial to put them into the clown scene where they can, you know, like have that freedom to be goofy and still creepy and stuff.
Yeah, and we work with the Nile Shriners. That's where our haunt is based at. It's on a Nile Shrine golf course, and we have we do have an age restriction, but if they're in this, it's like, I guess, a subgroup for younger women called the Rainbow Girls. And so we will have young actresses, like 14 is, I think, our youngest age will allow with the Rainbow Girls. So I'm helping backing you up and saying, like, we're not talking smack or anything. It's,
oh yeah, for sure. No, I mean,
trying to teach them and educate them, but because when you're that young, you're still learning. You don't know the good things. So
yes,
I'm just
I look,
like, if
and
anyone wants to try and say like anything,
I
it's more like, no.
and I've had my fair share of, do you want to play with me? Like, you know, and sometimes I still do. So it's
no. I just want anyone listening to know it's like because I've walked through behind you and I've listened to you, and you are so kind, and you want them to grow, and you give them genuine advice. So you're not
have my Andrea pants, you know.
You sound like crap. Say
no,
I
would never say that.
I just want to make sure, because you know how.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's fair.
But yeah, I just want people to know, like, you have grown a lot, and you are an amazing teacher. I've seen people grown underneath you in the class.
All right. So topic number 2 for Boo or No Boo. And this is, I don't know if y'all will ever have had this happen. Fellow actors, and you don't have to name drop, we're going to keep this anonymous.
Always.
Fellow actors that always talk about the yellow cards.
Yellow cards meaning PP?
Yes.
We both know somebody who nightly would claim that they got someone to pee or poo, but we both acted alongside them. And they would get the scares, don't get me wrong. Like, they did put in the work, but they weren't getting as extreme of a scare as they were hyping themselves up to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also one of those things where a lot of us would tag team somebody, and they would take all the credit in getting the person to react as much as they did.
Okay. Jake, do you have any experience with that?
Not really. Not like, I wouldn't say not exclusively yellow card, but of course there's always going to be an actor somewhere that constantly goes, oh yeah, like they constantly brag about the amount of scares they're getting or the intensity of the scares they're getting, and you just know that that's all it is just hype. They may be putting in the work, but they're not, how do I explain this? They're not really getting what they say they're getting. That's the only way I can put it. Every haunted house has an actor or two like that. And of course they want to hype themselves up and they want to sound cool and whatnot, but you don't really have to hype yourselves up to yourself up to seem cool to the other actors. Just be chill and be a nice person and everybody will think you're cool.
Okay. And in case anyone listening at home is wondering where I'm getting this source material, I actually have Haunt Hub on Facebook pulled up on my phone right now next to my recording device. So
if they find out, they're going to ban you.
I don't know. Haunt Hub actually encourages this.
Of course they do.
But, all right. So, and this is the last one I got for Boo or No Boo, and that is cheapo Spirit Halloween masks trying to get into the Midway/Q line. Boo or No Boo?
Okay, so, I had a story, but he wasn't wearing a mask. It was makeup. I don't know if it counts.
If it looks like it came from Party City or Halloween Express or somewhere, I'll accept it.
So the way that I work, I don't remember if I've said it in previous episodes, but the way that mine and Missy's Haunt works is we're open on weekends. On Fridays and Saturdays, I'm in the queue. Sundays, I'm in a scene because we have a lot of high schoolers and stuff, so I fill in the roles when they have school the next day, so their parents are like, you gotta stay home and get sleep. But this was a weekend I was in the queue, and I knew all the queue actors. This was, I think, my second year, and there was this weird guy in queue who was a clown, and it was just makeup, and he had these big hands. And I wasn't sure who he was, but I was also like, I kind of want to mind my business. But after a while, I noticed he would pull, when kids would come up for photos, he'd pull his own phone out of his pocket for photos. So I went up to security and I was like, hey, who is this guy? And this was when he had just recently arrived. So it wasn't like security passed him by, like they took note of him, but we, at the time, were having some other complicated customers. They were really preoccupied. So don't get me wrong, our security is great. But I went up to one of the security guards and I was like, who's this guy? And they're like, what guy? And I was like, the guy with the clown with the big hands. I don't know who he is. And he's pulling his own phone out for pictures. And so they went up to him, and he was an ex-member, and he was banned from there for reasons I don't know. They haven't told me. I'm not gonna dive into that. I'm not gonna bother them about it. But he showed up unannounced and was taking photos of children with his phone. And it was almost like John Wayne Gacy-esque of how unsettling it was.
When was this?
This was, I think, my first or second year.
Okay, I was like, huh?
House. I think you were still in house. But I just remember I didn't recognize him, and we do get guest actors a lot because our haunt, I'm sure it is like that out there where like haunts are just kind of like, oh, anyone can guest act from whatever haunt, whatever, like we're all a big family. So I assumed it was a guest actor, but I wasn't sure, and that's why I went up to ask. And it turns out he wasn't invited, and they weren't even sure who this man was. And then they found out later that it was somebody who had been banned for naughty, bad reasons from the Nile. But his makeup was very much like he went to like Walgreens or CVS and just slapped on white makeup and eyeliner. And it was like John Wayne Gacy 2.0 kind of thing. Because he had like big old Mickey Mouse glove hands.
Oh, God.
So with your question, that's what came to my mind was Mickey Mouse Wayne Gacy.
Oh, God. All right. So, Jake, boo or no boo, have you ever had an experience cheapo spirit Halloween / Party City Mass trying to get into queue line / Midway?
No, but I've seen people. I'm not gonna go around and pretend like I do queue a lot or whatever, and I would love to get into the Midway or whatever, but I'm not gonna act like we're some kind of elite group. I don't know how to say this. There are actors who they want to be in the Midway or they want to be in queue, and they do fantastic in-house. They do fantastic in-house. They're great, but they don't know how to improv verbally. And in order to be a queue line actor, you have to be able to improv, not just with scares or whatever and one-liners, but you have to be able to not only have one-liner for the entire night, you have to pull out 15 or 20 of them or something like that. And if you can't pull out a one-liner, you have to be able to use whatever the heck's around you and stuff like that to think up things to do, think up things to say that can not only convey a story, but can also entertain people. Because oftentimes, if you try to just convey story, people aren't really going to know what you're talking about. You have to find a way to find a way to convey the story in a way that people will understand, and they'll have a little bit of understanding of the story that they're walking into beforehand. There are people who are amazing in-house, and they're amazing scare actors. They're great at what they do. but when it comes to queue line and having like 5 or 6 different spiels and whatnot, and making up more as you go along, there are some people who just aren't cut out for it. But they're definitely cut out for the haunted house life, just not queue acting. But they could, and like then like people could very easily learn. People could also very easily learn. I'm not trying to sound mean or anything like that. I
No, I
just
totally agree. And I've had people come up to me and be like, I really want to get into Q. How do I do it? And you're just like, I'd love to see you in Q, but there's just so much that goes into it. And I don't think that, I feel like there's still a ways that you can go down this journey before you should pick up such a quest, like,
You
I don't
acting
know.
completely
yeah, like
different.
they wouldn't even let me into Q until my second year at Netherworld. Because I told Jessica, I was like, oh, I want to be in Q. I want to be able to mess with people online and stuff like that. And she found out that I had done a lot of improv in high school and I was trained in improv. And so she let me do it. And it turns out I was good at it, but not everybody is good at improv.
Yeah.
Yeah, improv's definitely, I will say, I'm a Q actor, but improv is a skill that I'm not very confident in. But I just want to kind of share my Q thing because I stated on episode 2, my first episode, that I got kind of hired under the table from Miss Susie at Fear the Woods because they had an age limit and I was a year under. And I kind of snuck my way into Q acting that year because I would do the hayride with Mr. Allen. And on nights it wasn't super busy for the hayride, I would just kind of wander into the queue and play with people. And I remember Miss Susie and Mr. Allen like kind of getting on to me about it, but I wouldn't stop. And then they eventually just like started letting me roam, even though I was a few years under the age of being allowed to roam just due to safety reasons. But like I remember I kept telling them, I'm like, if I get hurt, I'll take the blame. And I remember I got bit by a guy who later tested positive for crack cocaine. I got bit by him because I scared his 3-year-old by looking at her, but I didn't scare her. She was laughing, having a really good time. He was scared and didn't want to say anything. But I looked at them and I was like, I'm fine. I feel okay. I'll take the blame. Please let me keep going. I love this interaction so much. Please don't take this from me. And I haven't stopped Q acting since. And it's so addictive once you're able to interact so intimately with a customer. It's like you get such a different rush. And I love acting in the house because I still will do it on like the deader nights when we need the actors. But it's just such a different rush and such a different connection you're able to get because you can talk with them and figure out things about them that will make them personally uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's my thing. Is when I first started haunting, probably 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago now, I was thrown to the wolves night one. I was put right at pandemic attendant, basically a queue line actor night one of this whole crazy journey. And granted, Cameron Weber, Emma's brother here, he taught me everything I knew about how to work crowds and how to improv.
Yeah.
I can't thank him enough about that. It's just when it comes to working that queue line, there's a certain thing that you're not typically going to get right off the bat.
Oh.
Some people are just born naturally able to improv right off the top of their head like that. And then there's some that just they don't get it right away and they got to work on it. And, and that's the thing is you always have to go into your haunts prepared. If you don't go into it prepared, you're going to get just slammed right up against the wall face first.
Yeah, and I feel like worst case, if you feel like you can't come prepared physically, come prepared with questions because you're going to have those veteran actors who've been there for decades and I'll say 9 times out of 10, that's maybe a little forgiving, but they'll be willing to give you their advice and their wisdom on, like, here's what I think you could do better, or here's what I think you're doing a little wrong. Here's what you could do to improve upon it.
Yeah.
I have a very, very quick story. When I would sneak up front into that one scene with my friend Andrea, she was my mentor, and one time some guests kind of snuck up on us, so I didn't have time to run back to my scene, so I just sat there and I had upstaged her, and I didn't know. After she explained to me what upstaging was, since this was her scene, it was not mine, and kind of gave me guidance on, like, okay, just remember, like, since I'm the bearded lady and this is the midway, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right, I'm so sorry. Next time guests came around, because we stayed just to test it, worked way better, way smoother.
Yes,
So
I felt so bad. Andrea did say she was interested in a podcast, so we just gotta figure out when to get it. But Andrea
Okay.
has, because I want to say she's in her late 50s by now, but she has been in the industry since high school with costuming and makeup, film, haunting. Like, that woman is the biggest bucket of wisdom, and she is so amazing.
I love how off topic we've strayed from the boo or no boo.
Well, there's a reason that I did this, and you know, I know this was a you know, quarterback calling the audible last second on the play clock here, but the reason I wanted to do something like this is just a simple message, people. If you're going to be getting into the haunt industry, or if you are in the haunt industry, don't be a boo. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy at the haunts. Put your deodorant on. Shower before you come to the haunt. Don't say the dreaded B word. And if you don't
say want to play. Don't
yes.
say.
It's okay if you slip up. There's
Yeah, it's
room for
okay to
growth.
mess up.
Okay,
It's not even a mistake. It's just a happy little accident.
Please just always be trying to improve.
Mhm.
That's the
Yes.
thing. I've been
And
doing.
if you're not ready for those big giant roles like in the midway queue line, whatever you want to call it, if you think even the slightest bit you're not ready, get with some veteran actors. They will be more than happy to take you under their wing to get you ready for it.
Yes,
And that's the biggest thing I can say.
It's also okay to mess up. I've been doing this 2021. We're in it. This will be my 11th year. I still mess up. I've still said boo. It's okay to mess up, but just try to always be improving, always be better. And don't be afraid to ask questions, because there's always going to be somebody willing to give you the advice you're looking for.
Oh yeah, for real.
Oh yes.
And especially if people see how determined you are to grow and learn.
Motivation is key.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so that ends our game show segment of Boo or No Boo. Quite a fun little thing for something that I came up with right off the top of my head. Let us know down in the comments of this episode if you'd like to see some more Boo or No Boo, or maybe some more different game shows and different segments. Who knows? If you got any suggestions, drop us a comment down in the comments. So that just about does it.
Actually,
yes?
I had a question for you guys. I thought could be pretty interesting. If that's okay
Okay.
with you, it's totally fine if not.
Yes.
Because we were talking about it, and it brought up a memory, and I'm like, I'd love to know if you did this before, but sometimes when I walk through the haunts as my clown character or as myself, my friend actors will notice me and will use me to scare people. Do you have any like experiences where you're very close with an actor, so they just like maybe got physical with you to use you as this like scare or plant, like the, what was it called, like a person, I guess, yeah. Do you have any experiences with that?
I do. I'll start off if that's all right.
Yeah.
So this past year, in this crazy post-COVID world that we're living in, well, I call it the post-apocalyptic wasteland, but that's just the cool term to call it.
Because we're still in the heat of it over here.
Yeah. So we went down to Terror Mills Haunted House in Jackson, Georgia, ran by good friends of ours, Kyle Moncrief, Barry Flanagan. Great guys. What they do with how with the space that they have is a really good thing to go see. A good friend of mine, and Emma, I believe you might know him a little bit because he's actually Heath's son, Dylan.
He was at my wedding.
Yes.
Weird things as to say. Let me preface, I'm not married anymore, but that family came to my wedding, and they were very sweet, and his father brought a Michael Myers costume because I wanted him to show up, but it didn't work out.
Yeah. So, Dylan actually picked up a gig at Terra Mills this past season. Dude goes in and kills it. He's their exit chainsaw guy at the end of their haunt. He is just absolutely going wild and ballistic all night long. And he sees me and my crew come in and buy a ticket. Sure enough, I hear just a Cameron. And I turn around and he's standing there in his mask, his costume with his chainsaw in his hand, everything. He's like, hey, let me work a little off of you. And sure enough, he reaches his arm through the fence, wraps his arm around my neck, yanks me back into the fence, nearly rips me through the fence. Because just to preface, if anyone's not seen me in person, I'm 6 foot to 6 foot 1 inches tall, about 250 to 260 pounds. I'm a beefy boy, if you want to call me that. And
boy.
When Dylan grabs a hold of you, this dude is strong. He's a professional wrestler.
Did he just freeze?
I think we lost him.
Oh no! We're getting so good.
It was getting so good.
I think I told you, Hazel, about Heath. He was the Michael Myers at my haunt, and he's talking about his son.
I believe so. I'm pretty sure.
And I had a bit.
Until Cameron gets back, does anybody else have a answer to that question? Emma, you have an answer to that question?
I don't even remember what the question was.
It was if you've ever had like a very intimate like playoff moment with like other actors to like scare, or if you've ever like been planted into a crowd.
I mean, I guess kind of in a way. When I went to House of Shadows in Portland, Oregon, this was during West Coast Haunters Convention, and I was modeling for makeup at the time, and her name is Abby Hartung, Queen of the Blood. She is an absolute treat and dream. But she did my makeup as an anglerfish before we went to this full contact haunt. And obviously I'm dressed up as an anglerfish. I've got lights on me. I'm a target for this full contact haunt. And I got thrown into a little freezer for about 5 or 10 minutes because Abby, who did my makeup, kind of just threw me under the bus because it was like, oh, she's tall and thin. She'll be easiest to pick up. Take her. So I got thrown, volunteered, I guess. It wasn't really much of a plan, but I got thrown into a freezer for 5 minutes at this full contact haunt, and it was really fun.
That's super cool.
All right, all right.
Now that you're back and not dead.
Go ahead and finish your story real quick, then we'll go ahead and close this up.
Yeah. So he grabs me, starts yanking me through the fence, and these customers are just going wild thinking that they're actually going to be able to grab you. And it worked perfect. It got whatever crowd was there absolutely just shocked that one of their actors reached through and grabbed a customer, or so they thought, out and through. He had a fun time. We had a fun time. It's just a great experience. If you got friends, if you're in the haunt industry and you have friends at other haunts, on those off nights, go through their shows, support them, and let them have a good time with you. It's all in good fun, and at the end of the day, you'll still be able to go and eat at Waffle House or Denny's with them at the end of the night, and you'll be able to have a good time with them no matter what. So, yeah. So I think that just about does it for this episode. What do y'all say?
Yeah.
So real quick, before we sign out of here, number one, special thanks to Mad Mischief for being willing to come on in here and hang out with us and chat with us for a bit. Hope you enjoyed your stay here on the Demonic Discussions podcast. If y'all would like to see some more from her, let us know. We'll have her back on another episode in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want
no
to
problem.
promote yourself? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
if you have any
About your-
social medias or anything, you can throw them
Yeah,
out there.
my Instagram and my TikTok are both Mad Mischief, spelled MADMISCHIEF. Did I spell it right?
that
It's
sounds
the word mischief. So love how I can't even
spelled
pronounce it.
correctly.
I can't even spell my own username. And then everything there, I have a link in my bio where it'll lead you to everything else. So,
Yes, and she does have her own merch if you guys are interested in it. It's all very dope. I'm hoping to buy some myself, maybe a hoodie or two.
thank you. Wish I could give you it for free, but I'm broke.
No, I want to give you money.
Yeah. So, one more little thing, and I know I do this at the end of every episode. Number one, be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, share it around a little bit, so that way anyone that you think might be interested in this type of talk and podcast and whatnot, send them our way. We'd love to see if we can entertain you a little bit. So we're going to announce our next guest for the next episode. This
love
next
them with
episode
all my heart.
will be Courtney Matson. She is the head makeup artist at Art Mortis in Killen, Alabama. She is also on TikTok. I believe it's pronounced Sakura 98 or 96,
96.
I believe. 96, thank you. I've been talking with her a little bit, and she's interested to come on, so that will be our next guest. So, for the Demonic Discussions podcast, this is Cameron Pierce, Jake Phillips, and Emma Weber with our special guest, Mad Mischief, and we will see you guys in the next one.